it's Ali. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. Today I am going to show you guys something. Well, today's going to be Frugal Friday, and I decided that instead of just regular old dinners, that I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to take this off the heat so it doesn't get too hot. I'm going to show you guys other things that are frugal, recipes or things like this. But I don't know, dinners are fun, but I don't always have time to do full dinner recipes in the middle of the week for you guys to post on Fridays. It's kind of hard with a family of 5 running around and responsibilities and stuff to always get, a 25-minute dinner video out for you guys. So what I'm going to do instead is show you guys a couple of other frugal things that we do in our household, but that are also still from scratch. So today I'm showing you guys how to make, and excuse my bread machine, it's running behind me, and it's decided every time I go to film, decided is the perfect time to do like the longest mix cycle of its life. But anyways, today I'm going to show you guys how to make syrup from scratch. It is imitation maple syrup because obviously maple syrup comes from trees and I don't have a maple tree. And then I'm also going to show you guys how to make our homemade pancake mix. It's a make-ahead mix. You can store it in a jar, and then I'll give you 2 options on how to use it. Not how to use it, it still makes pancakes either way, but a couple ways to use it when you're cooking with it. So the first thing we're going to do is make our maple syrup. I have a burner on high, and I have a small pan that was getting really way too hot. So this one, I grew up, my mom would always make maple syrup for us, and it's kind of a thinner consistency. What I remember as a kid was a thinner consistency, and it was always warm, and it was in a pan, and you would just drizzle it over your stuff. Well, it wasn't until a little bit later in my life I realized my mom was using mapleine, which is a maple extract. It's really hard to find maple extract nowadays for some reason. So what I use is just the McCormick's maple extract instead of the mapleine. You can order mapleine online. I don't always want to do that, so I just get maple extract from the store. This was from Walmart. It wasn't expensive, and it will make quite a few batches of this recipe. First thing you're going to need is 1 cup of water. My pan was hot, sorry. To that, I'm going to add 1 cup, and by the way, in case you didn't know, this is like pure sugar, so which is kind of what maple is anyways. It's 1 cup of white sugar and 2 cups of brown sugar. I told you guys, it's like sugar, but it's so sweet and delicious that you don't need to use a ton like commercial syrups because a little goes a long way. So this is our homemade brown sugar. If you don't have homemade brown sugar, you should start making it because honestly, it's just, what's it called? Molasses and white sugar. You put them together. If you want darker, you add more molasses. We have a recipe on the channel. If you guys go look for it, it's around. I always say I'm going to link stuff, and sometimes I remember to, but my brain is the size of a pea some days, and I can't remember, what I ate for dinner last night half the time, which we had fish tacos, so it's really not that dramatic. But okay, there's our 2nd cup of brown sugar going in. All right, now I'm going to get a whisk and get that going, mixing it all in. I don't like to have open vanilla containers near flame because technically they are alcohol. Well, this one is definitely alcohol because it's homemade. Okay, so that's already starting to melt together, which is what we want it to do beautifully. All right, let me go ahead and add. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of our maple extract. I wish I could smell. For those of you who've been around, I lost my smell during COVID and I haven't gotten it back, and it's been 3 years, 2.5 years. So I don't think it's going to come back at this point. If it does, that'd be awesome because, as a cook, it's kind of dangerous not knowing when things are boiling or burning in your household. I don't like to do this over an open flame, but you need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm just going to pull this to the side real quick, add it, and then move it back. So in case I spill anything, it doesn't catch my house on fire. So the reason we add the vanilla is to kind of round out the flavor of the maple. It adds something really nice to it. So, and we're cooking it, so it gets rid of that alcohol in it anyways. Now, if you are worried about alcohol in your vanilla, I did hit Trader Joe's this week and got their alcohol-free because I've been making Orange Julius's a lot, and I've been using my bourbon maple my bourbon maple, my bourbon vanilla. And I'm like, dude, I'm giving my kids, which they're all adults at this point, so they could legally drink anyways, but I'm giving them, it's not a lot, it's a couple teaspoons, but I was giving them alcohol and, they're 24 and 26. Don't judge. I'm not a bad mom. But I just thought, I'm going to get an alternative to put in the house. So I went ahead and did that. And it's good. It tastes like vanilla in those types of recipes. So all you're going to do here is wait for this to come to a boil, which it is starting to. And then you're going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I like a thicker maple syrup. If you like a thinner, waterier one, woo, this is going to go over. Oh, don't go over. If you don't like it, whoops, I spilled, y'all. It wouldn't be me if I didn't. That's going to be burned sugar. Hold on, let me get a rag to wipe that up. I'm just keeping it real here. This is what happens in our house. We make messes. All right, back on the burner, but I did turn the burner down. So this is sugar. It's going to be molten lava hot. So please be careful and don't dump it all over your kitchen like I did. And it's going to keep doing this because this is what it does. So let me turn this even lower. You know what? You think I would learn to use a bigger pan, but no. No, why would I do that? If it's doing it, just take it off and on until it finally just does a nice bubble and doesn't explode. I don't know if you can see how high it's getting to the top. It's ridiculous. Let's see if we do a half on the burner, half off the burner. And my dog thinks it's great. She's approved by Remington. There we go. Now it's boiling, but not overly. My burner, I use the big burner. It takes a long time to cool back down once I have it hot. So we're going to just kind of leave this to the side like this. So anyways, yeah, I grew up using Maybelline instead of regular old syrup from the grocery store and never realized really, how much I enjoyed it until I was an adult. And then, of course, I buy the stuff from Kroger that's the cheapest, store brand or whatever. And it's good, but this stuff is better. Now, if you're looking for a sugar-free alternative, this isn't it. You're going to have to buy that from the grocery store. I do not have a different version for this. But this stuff is really good. We make it for our French toast. We put it on pancakes, obviously, breakfasty stuff. I'm trying to come up with a recipe to make French toast sticks for my kids that I can pop in the freezer and then they can just either toast or microwave. So that I'm hoping to have sometime in the near future, which could be in the next 2 years, to be honest. But, okay, I think my burner's finally, nope, not cooled down enough. So this is like foamy bubbles because of the sugar in it. But anyways, so today is a Tuesday to me, and I woke up ready to take on the world, which means it's a kitchen day. So I have a loaf of bread going already. We already made a batch of dog food. I've got the maple syrup going. I'm going to show you guys the pancakes. And what else? I don't even know. Oh, we're making a batch of sour cream. I think that recipe is going to be already posted by the time this one comes out. And I have some other ones up my sleeve. I think I had one of you guys ask for how to make homemade Cool Whip, so I'm working on that recipe, which basically is just whipped cream with gelatin added to it. So there you go. And but I want to get it right before I just post it for you guys. And then let's see, can I move it back on now? We'll see. She's sort of going higher, but we'll see. Nope, not yet. Oh, maybe. My goodness, guys, use a big pan. Just don't make my mistake. I do this every damn time. Damn, I said damn. My bad. I'm talking about a water under the bridge type of water blocking mechanism. So, fun fact about dams: my grandma and my great grandma and her husband. I guess he'd be my great grandpa, but I never met him, so it's weird. They owned a dam house. So they were the dam keepers. In the city I grew up in California. And so that's my granny. And then she was also one of the first female train conductors for the Santa Fe Railroad. And my grandma, who obviously I knew my granny, but she passed away when I was like 11, I think. But my grandma was a school teacher, but she also grew up as the dam keeper's daughter. So she grew up living up on the hill by the dam, and her name was Fawn, like a deer, because her parents, when my granny was pregnant with her, they were out in the forest going for a walk or something, or going to check on the dam. I don't even know the exact reason, but they were out doing their thing and they found a fawn stuck in a tree. And so they decided, it was still alive, that they were going to name my grandma Fawn after this fawn that was stuck in a tree. So my grandma lived to be almost 100 years old. So she was an interesting lady. But she didn't live in the dam when I was alive. They lived in a very, very old house in my hometown. It was one of the first houses built there and had a huge avocado orchard, and they had a bunch of citrus trees, and it was kind of a cool, quirky house. So there's you go. Okay, our 5 minutes of boiling is now up. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and I'm going to move it to the back burner to let it cool down. But let me show you guys what the consistency is, since I have been stirring it and it's like foamy. Hold on, let me bring it over. So do you see the consistency is like, don't touch the metal on there. It's like foamy. And that means it's going to be like candy stage. So that's how you get it to thicken up a little bit, is this lovely bubble that we've got going on. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the burner. Let me put you back down. And let me show you how we store our syrup. So I just, of course, use mason jars for everything because I have a problem. And so I just use a ball mason jar. And then they sell these caps. I've had this one forever. Back up, you don't need to see my chin. It's called a Recap. I think it's like 12 or 15 years old. It just opens like that. I know that there's other brands out there now, but this one has like a rubber seal, so it's airtight. And then this flip top just makes it really easy to pour our maple syrup. So that is how we store our maple syrup. You store it in the refrigerator. It lasts for, clear that. It lasts for as long as you want it to last in the refrigerator. Usually we go through it in like a month or two, depending on how much I make. So anyways, I am going, oh my gosh, you guys, I dumped syrup down the entire front of my oven. It's a good thing she's enamel and 1,000 years old, because she is pretty easy to clean up. Anyway, I'm going to reset you guys on the other counter and show you guys how we make our pancake mix. So hold on. All right, I have you guys turned around, and I'm going to show you guys how we make our buttermilk pancake, or not buttermilk pancake, mix. So the first thing you're going to need is just all-purpose flour. So you need 4 cups of it. We don't need bread flour for this one because we're going to be adding other things that make it puff up, so you don't need all that. So you got 4 cups of just all-purpose flour. I do this in one big container, and then I'll show you guys kind of some options from there. So just one big bowl. I have an 8-cup measuring cup that I love, and I use it all the time. So to that, we're doing 3 tablespoons of baking powder. Wrong one. Don't put baking soda, baking powder. 3 tablespoons, which I hope I have. I'm getting low on that. Don't worry, I got a backup. I always say that, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a backup. I already used it. All right. So there's our 3 tablespoons baking powder. We need 2 tablespoons of sugar. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I don't know what's what here. 2 tablespoons of sugar. We're putting that lovely syrup on top of there, so you don't need a ton of the sugar. We're done with our flour. We're done with our sugar. We're done with our baking powder. Okay, the next thing we need is 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Okay, we need some salt. We're doing 1 teaspoon of salt for this mix. And then the last ingredient you have a choice on. I use buttermilk powder to make them buttermilk pancakes. That way, when I go to make my mix later, I can just use water. If you do not have this or don't want to use this, then when you make your pancakes, you just use milk instead, or buttermilk. I do this so that I can just grab water and go. We're going to use 1 cup of buttermilk powder. This stuff clumps up a little bit over time, so it's fine. Once you mix it in, it's good. You can run it through a sifter if you want to, or pop it in your blender for a second to get those chunks gone. I usually just squish them and they're gone. But 1 cup of your buttermilk going in. Sometimes I will pop this mixture into my blender to make sure it's really good and blended, and that also gets rid of those buttermilk chunks. If you don't want to do that, use a whisk. Sometimes putting powder in the blender makes quite a mess, but okay. So now you have pancake mix, guys. That's it. You don't need to go buy, I mean, Krusty's or whatever that brand is delicious for waffles and stuff like that. But that's something we did before. Now we make everything from scratch. So this is our pancake mix. Good morning. The entrance and exit to my kids' game room is right here. So they always never know when they're walking in what they're getting into. All right. So now that is good and mixed together. So you have two options here for storage, because this you can store long term. You can do it in mason jars like this. This is one option that I love because I put 2 cups of our mix in there. Then when you go to make them, you can basically do like shake and make in your jar. You add a couple eggs and a couple cups of milk, and it should have just about enough room to shake it. If not, take a little mix out and go from there. So that you can store and pop on the label exactly what to do to make it, which again is 2 eggs and 2 cups of water. If you guys didn't do the buttermilk powder, then it would be 2 cups of milk. So you can do it that way, which is great. Or, I forgot to get my gallon while I'm using it, but just a big mason jar or a big container, anything that's airtight, go ahead and dump the whole thing in, and you can make 1 cup mixes at a time as well. We have a bigger family, so we do 2 cups at a time. If you do 1 cup, that would definitely fit in one of these mason jars really easily to do like because you just shake it in the jar and then pour it right in to make your pancakes. I don't usually do this method. It's cool to do shake and whatever, but for us, I just put it into a bowl. Actually, usually I make it in this one and I pour the batter onto my griddle when I go to make them. So you can do 1 cup of mix with 1 egg and 1 cup of water or milk, or you can do 2 cups, or you can do 1.5 cups. Your egg ratio would be a little bit off if you did that, but it's up to you guys how much you need. Each 1 cup makes 6-ish pancakes, so that's why we typically do 2 cups. It makes a big old batch. But that is our pancake mix. It's the middle of the day, so I'm not going to make pancakes for you guys right now. But I assure you, this is why I did this on a frugal Friday, because this makes just a ton. And if you don't add the buttermilk powder, I mean, this stuff's not actually very expensive. I use it in a lot of little recipes. It does have to be stored in the fridge if you use this brand. Usually I buy whatever the other brand is that comes in the bag. That one doesn't have to be refrigerated. Once I use it in a mix, I never refrigerate it, and it's been fine. So maybe that, I don't know, whatever. So I have put our syrup, I'm being careful, into our beautiful mason jar. Isn't that pretty? It's like dark coffee. And then I put a little bit into a container because I wanted to show you once it cools, because once it cools, it thickens up significantly. Like this still looks like liquid. I mean, it's jiggly. Let me show you what this one looks like. This one, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it is, let me see if I put my finger in it, thick like syrup. And it tastes like syrup, which is good. Let me see. It's just so good. There's something about it. So good. Makes you want to drink it. I'm not going to actually literally drink syrup because I am not Elf. Although I would love to live a day like him, right? And be like nonchalant about everything and oblivious to the world. Anyways, this is our Frugal Friday, homemade syrup, pancake mix from scratch. Go make some pancakes. Nobody doesn't like a good pancake. A good fluffy pancake, plus you can make them in no time. So like I said, this all stores long term. Go ahead and make yourself a big batch of this bad boy, and when you go to use it, let me know what you think. It's delicious. It does like buttermilk pancakes, like I said, but again, if you don't want buttermilk, omit the buttermilk, and then just make them with milk when you go to make them. Just adds that little bit of tanginess to it. You can also use buttermilk when you make them if you have it on hand like we usually do. You know, that's what I love about our recipes, is they're kind of like, you do you. You can kind of change things around to fit you guys. You can do quantities that fit your family. And of course, they're all frugal, because that's what it's all about here at Little, well, not always all about Little Homestead being frugal, but some things in our life are not frugal. But we get to do things that aren't always frugal because we do things that are frugal majority of the time. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed our little things we no longer buy, pancake mix and maple syrup. Appreciate you guys coming along as usual. And if you guys have any mixes or make ahead stuff, or I don't even know, whatever you guys want to see, just comment below. I keep a running list on a notepad, and I try to get through them all that you guys request. It may take me a little bit, but I usually get to them if I know what I'm doing. There are things I don't know, believe it or not. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.